I can't believe we're still having to have the chat about punctuality. How long have you been working here? A month? I don't think it's that hard of a concept to learn. Do you? Especially considering every other employee worth their paycheck can understand it. No, that isn't what I called you in for. No, you're not in trouble per se. I have something to ask of you. I want you to stop working. No, I'm not firing you, and I'm not asking for you to quit. As is, if that happened, you'd effectively be blacklisted from every industry worth their salt, and clearly we can't have that now, can we? You'd be surprised how far my influence stretches. There's ambrogias, of course, but in an economy like this, you've got to have a few side hustles. Every big business does. Now, I am not requesting that you stop working, but you have followed every other request of mine to a T, so why not this one? Fine. I didn't want to play the game this way, but why not? I've done some research into your private life. Oh, come off it. You gave me all the information I need to learn about you anyhow. Hardly an invasion of privacy, I'd say. I've noticed how you live. Your living conditions are mediocre at best, and at worst I've seen Hoovertown shacks that look better than yours. Your diet is trash, probably because of your previous trash income not allowing you to afford healthier options. Your transportation is laughable. It'd be so much easier to blame your punctuality on you, but it's so much more complicated than that, isn't it? And I know so much more. You need this job. Desperately. It may not lift you out of squalor, but would make the squalor much more tolerable to live within. Either way, it's a golden ticket out of poverty, and to ask you to throw it away must be rather confusing, versus me simply knocking it out of your hands. Allow me to clarify. I want you to stop working as my secretary. We both have ill-gotten gains that we could both stand to benefit from. Remember how I called myself a skyscraper? Not entirely accurate. Think of me as more of a pyramid. In a pyramid, there's a bunch of people on the bottom, and there's a person at the top. Now, anybody in their right mind would do anything to be on the top, and those closest at the top would be trying to usurp the one at the top through any means seen fit. Be it subterfuge, backstabbing, murder, the list goes on. Because of this, the person at the top has to be on guard at all times, because those closest to them could make a move at any time, and that means there's little trust to be found. Even those at the bottom tier suffering more than the ones at the top may have more labor, but they have peace of mind and security in their positions. The top is the ideal, the paragon. But the top is lonely. I express detachment from all things that are human simply based on my inability to receive these things in the first place. But I've been forced to recognize that the cold detachment was simply resentment for a thing I couldn't have, even with my great wealth and power. Companionship. Furthermore, companionship that isn't motivated by my previously mentioned excess. Sure, I could conceivably gather some birds of a feather into my flock, but what do you suppose will happen when the cat comes? You see my problem, surely. So, as you can see, we have things to be gained from each other. However, if we continue these through the context of a work-based relationship, it won't reach the potential it could have. A salary isn't going to lift you out of poverty, and our little chats no longer satisfy me. So, what can be done in the circumstances like this? We change the context of the relationship. Come live with me. You won't have to work. I'll pay for anything you may need, and anything you may want, and in return you'll provide me with, to put it simply, yourself. That's all I really need anyhow. Someone to care for and talk about movies with and take to art museums. Imagine not having to choose between paying the water bill or the electric bill. Imagine not having to put a pet down because the surgery is just $50 out of reach. Imagine not having to work a night job on top of being my secretary. I'm giving you the promotion of a lifetime, and I'm not even asking you to work. Think about how absurd that is. Conversely, imagine being able to eat the best food you can eat, being able to mingle with the rich and powerful, see things that the general public can only glimpse at. Think about how absurd that is. Why? Would you believe me if I told you it was because you're cute as a button? Of course not. I can't explain it. It's more of an intellectual connection than anything else. You're kind and you're simple, but the way you think is enrapturing. It fascinates me that in your first week, when I asked you to do something absurd that anyone else would have done simply to avoid getting me crossed, you put your foot down. You said no. I told you that I'd ask anything and everything of you. I asked for a doormat thinking I'd get a doormat, but you had teeth. I would have fired anybody else for that act of defiance, and I would have fired you, but the act itself fascinated me. You fascinated me. On the surface, you're as simpering and cowardly as they come, but your mind and your heart hold something that I've never seen in the other cloying yes-men who work here. You're above them. I'm a skyscraper. I take people to new heights. Allow me to do the same for you. Allow me to let you soar. Very well. I'll take you home at 5 and we'll call for the moving trucks tomorrow. I'll have to terminate your employment in order to get you off the books, so congratulations, dear. You're fired.